Greetings and welcome to another episode of Kandid Konversations with Ken. Today I am blessed to have a beautiful guest, Miss Quashay.
Oh, thank you, Ken.
Owner and CEO of Radiant Life Counseling, a fellow therapist, a fellow UTSA graduate.
Yes.
We've known each other for quite some time now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So I'm excited to see where this conversation goes.
Me too. We always have such good talks.
We do. So during the pandemic, we're both therapists, so we'll take like breaks and call each other and just talk about literally nothing, and then it leads to a long conversation. So this shall be very interesting.
It should be, yeah.
So how are you feeling today?
I feel good.
Good.
Yeah, it's a good day, restful day. Those are always a good, thing for us, especially.
So I'll start this by asking everyone the same question.
Oh.
And you are bold. So let's get started. Who are you as a person? So if someone were to say who Quashay is, who is Quashay?
Bold. Yeah, I like that. Very open, thoughtful, very caring. I'm just all around a really good person. I'm a badass.
Yes, you are.
I am. I do everything that I set my mind to. I make a plan for it. It's allergy season, so I'm gonna be a little.
It's tissue. She's not crying. Y'all.
I'm not crying. No, but I do everything that I set out to do. I just stick to the plan. Yeah, that's exactly why I am.
Okay. So I know a little bit about your background, but
Sure.
Someone else, they asked me to do a topic on becoming the best version of yourself. And I think when I see you and since I've known you, I'm like, Quashay is just really, I think of woman. Like,
Aww.
I am woman. I am everything. I am capable. So all these affirmations come to mind when I think of you. And I thought you would be the best person to kind of talk about. Don't do that to me.
Like, aw.
But I thought you would be the best person to talk about becoming the best version of yourself. And so for you, let's just start with, how did you get to the woman that we see? Because I'm sure everybody would agree who's watching this, right? We all call you queen. Yes, queen. We all call you queen. But how would you say that you got to this person?
There was a lot of little moments. Definitely started with having people that poured into me. When I was younger, a lot of compliments, sometimes, not so kind, feedback, but it helped me be exactly who I am. I've always been very talkative, very smart, I would say. And not because things come to me easily, but because I try hard, So that's definitely where it started. Just sort of getting that, praise for doing things well.
Yeah.
And so that helped me learn that, okay, I need to do that to myself too. Because it didn't last. It wasn't always that way, right? Your parents, they go through their own things. And so that foundation really helped me to continue just affirming who I was. And then a bit of people not knowing who I was and like sort of putting me in a box. We're all loud, we're all, this and that. And so I had to get really good at knowing who I was. And so when I went to college, there were a lot of opportunities that I couldn't take in high school. I have working parents, so after school activities, being involved outside of just going to school for my lesson was something that I just couldn't do. So I was like, when I got to college, I was like, okay, I'm going to do all the things that I couldn't do when I was in high school. I'm going to be a part of all the activities that I couldn't be a part of because my parents were able, you know? And that really made a big difference. It made me feel confident in a way that I knew who I was, but I began to be confident in my ability as well. If that makes any sense. Like, that you can do things well, but you just don't really know what those things are. College helped me to define like what those things are that I can do well,
Yeah.
And a little bit of unlearning too. Being who I wanted to be, not just who I thought I should be.
I think that's important because we all go through that period of trying to unlearn and not being who I think people expect me to be, but be who I truly want to be. And for us, we always probably thought like, well, she's just so confident. She's just so lively and she's so bright.
Yeah.
When was the defining moment when you realized, you know what, I am truly being the best version of me that I can be? If you remember.
It was definitely once I got to college, and I joined Women of Honor. That was a pivotal, like just altering moment for me. They really helped us affirm ourselves, and not just in our Blackness, but in our personhood, in our womanhood. So that was one of the moments that I was like, okay, I can do this. I am all of these things. I started to believe it myself. And then when I ran for Miss UTSA,
I remember
yes, girl. You know, it's so funny because somebody actually sent me a video. A good friend of mine sent me a video of the YouTube like campaign video or whatever. And I was like, damn, that was bold. You know,
I'm like, she sure did.
That was so bold of me. And I was like, wow, I can do anything. So after that point, I went study abroad to Italy, went by myself, flew by myself. That was like a maybe 12 or 13-hour trip because I had like 2 different stops. And I went by myself and I was like, wow, I'm amazing. You know, to be able to, it was one of the most fantastic experiences of my life because I really wanted to travel. I always wanted to travel. And I was like, okay, I'm confident enough to do this. I'm capable of doing this. And I just, from that moment, I was just like, if I want it, I'm going to go get it. And that helped me because the confidence was there. People were edifying me, people like you and all the other women that I came in contact with would edify me to say, you know what? Actually, I'm capable of doing all the things.
Yeah.
I am who they say I am. I believe it now. So I would say in my early 20s, that was definitely it.
Just little reaching goals along the way.
Along the way. Yeah.
Doing things that maybe you didn't know. Did you know you can do those things? Not at first. Okay.
It was just one foot in front of the other. The whole process, becoming to who I am today was like literally one foot in front of the other. And I had a vision for the outcome, but I didn't really know how to get there. So I would just guess. And it worked out. I would just be bold enough to say, you know what? I watched, what's that movie called? I think it's like The Color of Friendship.
Oh, I love that movie.
It wasn't about the apartheid or anything. Right. But the fact that she left her country and went to another, I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that one day. You know?
You had a good imagination.
I did. I was always very, we call it now visionary. I have the language for it now, visionary. But when I was younger, it was just daydreaming. And I'd be like, okay, I would literally put together like a vision board of what I wanted to do. I had no idea how, didn't know what resources it would take. I didn't think about that. And maybe that was a good thing because sometimes we can get lost in the details and sort of think that we can't do it.
Right.
But I didn't do that. I would just literally, since I was a little girl, I would just put together like a mental vision board of the things out of life that I wanted to receive. And mentally, yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, I have the language for it now. It's called vision board, right? But then I didn't know. I would just like corner these moments, like pocket these moments of like what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be.
And so I think that's important. So we talk about having vision. We talk about people pouring into you. We talk about really having the audacity. We talk about you being bold, but having the audacity and the boldness to go after the things that you want. Were there any limitations? At any point where is it like you felt like maybe you were doing too much? Or did you feel like people were trying to limit you? Or do you feel like I know you said people were trying to put you in a box. What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There were, physical limitations, resource limitations, even like emotional ones. Sometimes I was like, especially in grad schools, when I started to feel that limit of like, maybe I bit off more than I could chew. When I was in grad school, we got the same. We laugh now, but boy, it was not funny.
People don't understand. So this is just an aside, though, because I know we can get back on topic.
Sure.
Everybody feels like they can be a therapist.
Oosh.
And I have to state my disdain for it because it is the most
taxing
thing. And I don't think people realize the work it actually takes to be a therapist.
No.
Aside from school, we have to get 3,000. I need you to hear that. 3,000 hours of clinical training. And so
you only work 8 hours a day.
And so while you're waiting to get your license, you have to get 3,000 hours, which means you can't technically be a licensed therapist until those hours are complete. So just an aside, because I know you've heard it too. Like, anybody can be a therapist. I can listen to people, and I'm like, no,
I don't think so.
You can't, because you also have to learn how to turn it on
and how to turn
it off, and what to listen for and what not to listen for. So there's so many caveats to that, but that can be a whole nother discussion.
That's literally a whole different discussion. I mean, graduate school was a test of endurance.
Yeah.
Graduate school was one of the first times that I really felt like a hard line of, am I able to do these things? Like, can I do this? No, can I really do this? Am I good enough?
Yeah.
You know, I think I've always struggled with that. You know, it sounds all flowery now. I'm like, yeah, I know I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. But I mean, the reality is I would struggle, right, with that imposter syndrome, seeing other people sort of like not have the same limitations that I had. I also like struggled with my own depression, and in grad school, it just really kicked up to another level. And I kind of felt like on a spiritual level, the enemy was kind of like, none of these other things I've thrown at her would work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I got to change my tactics.
Now I got to change the tactics. And so the tactic was to turn me against myself, turn me against my own mind.
Yes. Okay. I have that same story.
Yeah.
Same story.
Right?
Same story. And I remember praying to God, and he was and it was like the devil wants to attack you in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, and that's why I started realizing more so the importance of therapy. Because I was like, you have to control this.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody's watching, you have to control this, because that's part of being the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Knowing what you're allowing into your mind, knowing what you're thinking about, knowing how to turn those things off.
Yes.
All of that is so important.
Yeah. You almost have to go through therapy as a clinician before you start practicing, because there are so many experiences for myself that were locked away. Mm-hmm. And I felt crazy because it's like, why am I intentionally digging this stuff up? Right? Because the program that I went to was very intentional about making us go to therapy.
Okay.
We had to.
Good.
We had to have some type of therapeutic process to encounter ourselves. And their rationale for that was that, number one, you're going to be in the middle of everybody's storm, of everybody's mess, and you need to be able to draw a line between what they're going through versus what you went through.
Yep, that's true.
Right? And so I was like, okay, let me do that. And one thing, Black people, we're very communal with each other, but we're not always honest about what we're going through.
That's so true.
Right? And so I was like, okay, who can I talk to about this stuff? Because it's not, this is dark. This is deep. So I had to go to therapy, child. Yeah. And I still check in with my therapist maybe like once a month now, just to decompress.
Right.
Because this is, again, the labor, the mental fortitude. I mean, you have to be healthy to be able to do this work.
Mm-hmm. The best version of yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be the best version of yourself to do this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So would you say therapy along with prayer helped you get through those challenging times in which you didn't feel like the best version of yourself?
When I didn't feel like the best me, my faith helped me to realize that this was not an expression of how I feel about myself. Rather, it was a culmination of all the bad things I've heard about myself. So I was able to separate that, right? And know that, you know, we call it the enemy, we call it the devil. Know that this is not me. This is not how I actually feel about me. And that's important when you want to, you know, I talked about it earlier about that unlearning. Starting to separate those negative voices from not just being who you are, right? To literally separate that so that you can be and truly believe that you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
Right? Now I am getting emotional. That I am who I say I am. That I feel it up in here. That I believe it, right? My faith helped me to realize that. And then therapy gave me the tools, the real life tools to process those negative thoughts and feelings that would keep me from being who I wanted to be and how I wanted to be, right? And that helped me as a therapist too, right? Because I can recognize it in myself. It helps me recognize it in someone else. You know, we call it trauma. We call it bullying. We call it all of these things, right? But those are the voices. Those are the experiences that will keep you from being who you want to be. Yeah. Because you'll pay more attention to that voice instead of the I am, the affirming, right? Yeah. The love that you have for yourself.
I was listening to this sermon. I try to start my day with something positive. So I was listening to this sermon by what is her name? Sarah Jakes, right? And
yeah.
And so she was just talking about voices that you hear. And she was saying that sometimes the voices that we're hearing are not even our voices.
Yeah.
They're the voices that our parents heard that have trickled down to us. And they're the voices that our grandparents heard that trickled down to us. And now you're rehearsing those things that you've heard. And it's showing, it's inhibiting how you show up in the world. And if you think about, and not if we take our family aside, just people who you come in contact, those negative people who said you can't do this. Well, that was their negative voice they've heard about themselves. So they're trying
to... don't have nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with you. And I think once anybody watching this realizes that, those voices have nothing to do with you. Nothing. It's a result of their experiences. It's a result of their insecurities. It's a result of how they feel about themselves. All of that. And once you get out of that and you learn to control that, you're like, hold up, I've never thought this about myself.
Right.
And let me challenge that. Well, this is what I actually believe about myself. Your whole narrative changes.
Yes.
And you change. And I think for me, I think that's when you're on the journey. I know you hate that word.
I don't hate it. It's just overused.
Yeah, no, true. I'm on a journey. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You took a step. No, you're absolutely right. Right. Decentering those negative, intrusive thoughts.
Come on, therapy talk.
Come on, clinical. Okay. No, but seriously. And so it was two-pronged for me. It was also taking care of my physical body. That allows me to be my best self. You know, being mindful of the food that you eat. It will literally make you feel like crap. It will make you feel like crap. And that's outside of like body image. That's outside of weight. That's outside of all those things. Just straight up, you know?
Yeah. No, I know.
Feeding my physical body, feeding my spiritual body, feeding myself emotionally. That helps me become the best version of who I am. And you can encounter this version of me because of that, all of that intentional work, you know?
You said something, and I know you do it, but I want to make sure we reiterate it here for people who are watching. We talked about, you know, the spiritual, how we eat, you know, how we present ourselves, how we take care of ourselves. But I want to make sure we do this as therapists when we talk about it, especially as therapists and also as Black women, the emphasis of rest as a way to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
How has rest helped you? Because I can, you know, I have y'all on here to talk because I can talk about how rest has helped me. But how has rest helped you, and how would you define rest to people watching?
Rest depends on the day.
Gotcha.
Depends on what I need that day. Rest has helped me because I realize when I'm not resting, when I'm tired, I'm irritable, I'm snappy, I don't listen very well. All of those things, by the way, will be very problematic as a therapist, right? I'm more sensitive and critical. I'm just not pleasant.
I agree.
I'm not pleasant when I'm not at rest. And, when I went study abroad and I saw how those people lived, that grinding, that's not a part of the everyday, so it really allowed me to see, and it really shaped my ideal around hard work. And I still believe in it, but it's like, at what cost, right? So that really helped me be a better person. It helped me be a better clinician, because I can't be my best in session when I'm tired, when I'm burnt. We call it burnout, right? I think the burnout for therapists is like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like 5 years.
You see a lot of turnover in that, yeah.
Yeah, around the 5-year mark. And I was like, okay, I need to preserve that because I spent all this money. I cannot.
Yeah, no, true.
Right. So rest has helped me become just more centered. It's actually made me happier I'm happier. I'm more easygoing. I'm more at ease. And, unfortunately in this past year, clinically, we've been much more in demand. So, I haven't been able to rest as much as I would like, probably in the last 6 to 7 months. But I try to be mindful of when I need to,
Yeah.
We were talking about this probably a couple months ago. I block my schedule.
Yeah.
I know when I can't. Because I'm like, I'm my product. I am my business. It's me. I can't put something on the shelf for somebody to buy. And so I was like, well, if Costco is limiting their hours, and all you buy down at the Costco is toilet paper and
all the Lysol.
I'm a human being with limited resources. Why aren't I also taking into account that I need rest?
Yeah. And I think the thing about rest, and I want to make sure we talk about this too, is rest teaches you that you're valuable. And also teaches you your humanness. Because when we don't rest, I don't like when people say I sleep when I'm dead. I'm like, who?
You dead when you dead.
Who is sleeping?
You're literally dead when you're dead.
I am sleeping now. I'm recharging my body. It's never made sense to me, but that's a whole nother philosophy. But it also reiterates your humanness, because I think sometimes we talk about this, we talk about a lot of things. We talk about this as well. When you're a therapist, people think you can do it all. They think you have the answers to everything. Yeah. And so when they think you have the answers to everything, sometimes they don't see you as human. So you can be having the worst day of your life and someone calls you and they're just like, you're like, I'm human. So rest allows me specifically to realize I'm human too. I'm not the robot people think that we are as therapists. And two, I'm important and I value myself enough to say, I'm taking a nap. I'm taking a day because I matter. My product matters. My service matters. All of that matters. Yeah. And I have to make sure I take care of me. So I think that's why rest is important.
Absolutely. And you summed it up so beautifully. You're so much more eloquent than I am when it comes to that.
Stop.
But because I'll ramble. But no, absolutely. Do you feel like it's made you a better clinician?
Oh, of course.
Taking less?
Of course.
We call it leave a little money on the table.
And so we're getting soft topic, but that's okay because I knew we were going to do this.
Dang,
so
okay.
No, it's fine. So I actually, and I did that yesterday, and I realized all money isn't good money. If it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. And not peace, I don't want to see you. Peace in the fact that I'm overworking myself.
Yeah.
And I can't do that because I want, like you said, I spent a lot of money on my degree. I want this to be fruitful, and there are just certain things that I want to do outside of this.
Yes.
And so I have to be able to preserve it.
Yes.
So of course, I think I've definitely done that. I've definitely done that.
Yeah. I think too, in terms of, connecting rest in being the best version of myself, it actually helps me pour into my actual life.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that was something that I sat down with myself on last year, right when the pandemic started. And we do that thing where we're like, okay, this is a blessing. It wasn't. It's a terrible time. But at the same time, it's awful. We can't do any of the things that we did. People are no longer with us.
Passing away.
Yeah, it's not a good time. But I sat down with myself and I said, okay, I've done all of this work. I spent all this time working, all this time grinding, right? It's like, if something in my life is grinding, it's not working very well. If your car is grinding, is it working good?
No.
If
your teeth are grinding.
If you turn on the Keurig and it's grinding, that's not good.
Not for real.
Right? So I was like, okay, if I really sat down, if I sit down with myself, I didn't do all these things just to work. I did all these things to enjoy my real life. Right? And so that allowed me to sort of realize, which is why I went back to therapy, because I'm like, okay, there are some aspects of myself that I'm not addressing. Right? There are some things in my personal life that sort of have been on the back burner for so long. This is the time for me to pour into myself. And realize, we talk about boundaries, talk about okay, girl, well, where are all those lines? Do we need to redraw them?
Yeah.
I did have to redraw them this year.
No, for real.
No, for real. Like I really had to redraw them this year. Because of all those things you said, being finite, being human, giving myself that grace that I gave all these other people, that I give my clients, that I give my relatives. So that really helps me feel. Today I feel like I'm who I am exactly because of the culmination of all those things that we talked about.
And so as you were talking, it reminded me of another conversation we had, which is another reason I thought it was important for you to talk about this topic of being the best version of yourself and operating in that. And I remember being on the phone with you for our many conversations. I remember being on the phone with you and you were like, Keegan, I'm not doing all that. We were talking about working on weekends. Oh. And you
that sounds like me.
You're like, I gotta find balance. You know, I have all these. I'm juggling all of these hats, and it didn't click to me until probably February, March, when you I think we had this conversation probably January, December. Yeah. We had it, and probably when we were looking for the candles.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was exactly that. It was exactly that day.
It was when we were looking for those candles, and so I remember being on the phone with you, and it didn't click because I was like, I don't mind working every Saturday. And then I started working every Saturday. And I was like, I have no downtime.
Right.
And I can't be anything to any, because you think you're young, you can do it. That's a lie.
I'm still young now. No,
but I remember having that conversation with you. Like, no, I have to pour into this area of my life. I have to make room for this area of my life. And I was just like, it was like an aha moment for me talking to you. And when you said that, and I think that's important because, like you said, we work, but we don't think about the other areas that we're not pouring into. And part of being the best version of yourself, and then you can tell me how you feel, but part of being the best version of yourself is realizing the things you want, not just career, right? Not just education, but relationships, family time, shopping, time to do nothing at all. Time to do nothing at all. But how do I make all of this exist? And if I'm working 5 to 6 days a week, I don't have time for these other things.
On top of the full-time job that you have, on top of all those things, no, I can't do that.
Right.
I won't do it.
And I think for me, when I was talking to you in that moment, I was like, she has a point. And then it finally clicked to me. I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore because there are other areas of my life that deserve my attention, but they can't get my attention. And I can't be the best version of myself if I'm always wearing myself thin in these areas. Thank you for that.
No problem. I'll send you a bill.
I can't afford though.
No, I know, right? I always ask myself, in this last year, but more intentionally over the last several months, at what cost? What is it going to cost me to do X? Right? How do I honor myself? What is this going to cost me? And if it costs me too much, I say no. Right? And it depends on the day. The cost one day might be low. The cost the next day might be high. Because one of the things my therapist pointed out to me is that sometimes we negotiate ourselves out of our needs when they don't make sense or when they're not consistent. Right? No, meet the need even if it doesn't make sense. So today, having a conversation on the phone for an hour may not take a lot out of me. But the same person can call me tomorrow and it take too much out of me, and I can say, okay, I can answer this phone. I could do all of the therapizing the things that we try not to do. But when you're on the phone with somebody talking about their feelings, what can you do, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So I say, no, at what cost? What is this going to cost me? Is this hour? This is the dollar amount that this hour would cost me if this person was a client, right? Oh, no. I'd rather watch TV. I'll talk to them later.
Oh, I do that.
I know. And I know. But it's not in terms of like, I don't want to see or hear from this person. But it was like you said, we do this all day. And if I do this to you right now,
I'm working.
Then what am I going to have for my client tomorrow?
I'm working.
Yeah, I'm working. Yeah. And when I do that over and over and over again, right? Because we have a tendency to think of all these events as like isolated. We don't connect them, right? So if I do this every day for a week, what is it going to cost me?
I'm not gonna have no risk.
No. And so the journey that people, talk about, it really happens in small moments where we make decisions, right? So
I love that.
Yeah, the journey is in small moments.
I love that.
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Let me get my Oprah on. The journey is in small moments.
I like it.
We make decisions about how am I going to encounter myself more authentically? How am I going to honor what I want? I got to think about it. Sometimes I have to sit, and sometimes it takes me like 2 to 3 business days. But that's okay. I have to think about it. I have to, be mindful, because life happens in those moments. We call it life, but we only have this moment.
Yeah.
So what decision can I make right now that's going to make me feel good? How can I encounter joy in this moment? Is it that phone call going to do that? Probably
no.
Not.
And the thing about it is we know those things. Like we know this isn't going to add value. I know this isn't going to help me, but we still do it. So, like you said, just making the choices. That's important.
Yeah.
If you were to tell someone how to become the best version of themselves, based on your experience and just the lived experience from your clients and even our conversations, what would you? And you can take your time to think about it, but what would you tell them as a possible way for a journey to do so?
Be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. Yeah. And maybe start with yourself if you're not comfortable or safe with being vulnerable with others. But be vulnerable with yourself. Be honest about what you need. Because I realized for myself that I need people, right? I need help. That doesn't make me weak. I'm sensitive. That's who I am. I'm sensitive. Sometimes sensitive like a bomb.
Seriously.
No,
seriously,
really.
Yeah.
And just being honest enough with yourself to being vulnerable enough to be who you are and just stand in it, It's so threatening sometimes to acknowledge your shadow self, but just acknowledge it. It's who you are. That's who you are. But you have to, again, first be vulnerable enough and have the courage to just stand up. This is who I am. This is how I am. This is what I believe about myself. Whatever those adjectives, whatever those descriptor words are, this is who I am. And if there's something about yourself that gives you trouble, something about yourself that makes it difficult to relate to others, work on that. That's threatening too for a lot of people. But you're not going to be who you are. You're not going to be the fullness, the richness. You're not going to have the range, right, in your life if you don't acknowledge that too.
Yeah.
And
so I think that's the hardest part for people.
Absolutely.
Sitting with the things I don't like and then trying to make changes. How would you suggest someone start the journey of making those changes? So I don't like these certain qualities about myself. How do I make those changes?
Taking responsibility.
Okay.
Atonement. It's my word of the year, child. Atonement. No, but taking responsibility. Like, even if you didn't mean to hurt someone, even if you didn't mean for your behaviors to negatively affect somebody, take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Right? We call it blind spots. Just shine a little flashlight on it
Yeah.
It's not going to, you're not going to die. Oh my God. Yeah. Right. If you acknowledge those things, because a lot of the richness and fullness of your life comes from being able to share that with other people. Right. So, but if you don't atone for those blind spots, where are the relationships with others going to stand? Probably not very well. Right. Do it in a safe space. Do it with therapy. It's a safe place. And you have to be honest when you get there. Right. Which again, that's where that vulnerability component comes from. It's not just vulnerable enough to tell people what you need, but it's also vulnerable to say, hey, you know what? There's some aspects about myself that I need to work on. I had to do that. Yeah. Girl, I had a mouth on me.
I did that as well. You called me a bully.
Oh.
I was like, you gotta deal with it. I'll take it.
You know what? I think the context of that was not as, maybe not as mean. But, sometimes we can be, because we're bossy.
Yeah. Listen, that I didn't, I appreciate our ability to be honest with each other. So that didn't, that's fine. Because like you, I had to answer those questions. Yeah. And I'm happy that you said this, because even on my journey to try to be the best version of myself, I still feel like it's continuous.
Yes, it is.
Right? But I had to ask my closest friends, like, what are some things y'all like about me? What are some things y'all don't like about me? And they're like, let me take a couple days, close friends, core friends.
Right.
Let me take a couple days and get back to you on the answer. Mm-hmm. And then they start telling me stuff. And most of the stuff I already knew.
Yeah.
If you're really aware about yourself, you know what you don't like already. But just hearing people hear that and have to be honest about those areas of my life. Mm-hmm. I went to therapy. Mm-hmm. And when that therapist didn't work, I felt like she couldn't challenge me enough. I went to a different therapist. Ooh. And then I prayed.
Yeah.
So everything that you said is kind of like, yeah, you do.
You have to.
And you have to know you. And you've said it all. I agree.
But yeah, my therapist gets me together when she needs to. There was one session I told her, I was like, you really got on me today. But I needed that, right? With love, obviously, she doesn't berate me or anything like that, because I don't think I would respond well to it. But yeah, just to be honest, have a therapist that's honest with you. I think that's why our therapeutic styles kind of mesh together. Like, we have some differences in our therapeutic style, right? But we have that in common.
Yeah.
Where we're like,
okay, sure.
Okay, honey. Well, I don't know if that's really working like you say it is, but okay. Right. Yeah, but and not in a way to like make fun of anyone or anything like that, but it's a part of what makes the therapeutic relationship like mean something.
Yeah.
If I'm just coming to this person and they're just telling me, oh, you're great. Oh, everything you do is good. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not really therapy. It's just like a yes man.
Yeah.
Right? It's not challenging you. And a lot of people run from the therapeutic process because of that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to challenge you. Not every session you're going to leave feeling great.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to feel drained.
Yeah.
But that's a part of the work.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's part of the work.
If you can tell someone who's in this journey, they don't know where to start. They've doubted themselves for so long. They feel incapable. They didn't have people pouring into them. Mm-hmm. How would you encourage them to be the best version of themselves?
Be proud of yourself for what you can do. Give it to yourself. Give it to yourself. Love on you, right? We can't expect everybody to love us and we don't love us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
It starts right there.
That's good.
That's good.
That's great. Please. One time for the people in the back.
One time for the people in the very back. You cannot expect everybody to love you if you don't love you.
Yeah.
Right? Edify yourself. All of those things that you want from a partner, that you want from your parents, that you want from your friends, give it to yourself. Mm-hmm. Give it to yourself. Enjoy your company. Mm-hmm. You're with yourself 24/7. You can't get away from you. Enjoy you.
Yeah.
Yeah? That energy radiates to other people. But it has to start here, right? And if you can't afford paid professional support, there are self-help galore. Now, be careful, right? Not every guru online is, but the people that put pen to paper, the peer-reviewed self-help journals, the notebooks, the things like that, do that.
Yeah.
There's so many therapists, actual licensed therapists that are online that are giving away so much free information. Fill yourself up with that.
Yeah.
Disconnect from those negative messages. Sometimes that means taking a break from social media. Sometimes that means disengaging from media online that's triggering or upsetting to you. You know, quiet out all those voices.
Yeah.
Quiet them out and work on you by first loving on yourself. You can't do none of this. You can't be the best version of yourself and loathe who you are. That doesn't work. And when those moments happen, because they will, right? Accepting that this process is a process. It's not permanent. There are still days. Girl, this past week, you couldn't tell me I wasn't Quasimodo. Okay? My allergies was all over the place. My eyes was puffy. I was not feeling very good. I was like, ugh. Yeah. I got to get up in front of Ken, the beautiful Ken doll. No, I'm just kidding. But not kidding about your beauty, but just, like knowing that those moments are going to happen. Just have an arsenal of how to fill yourself back up again. Yeah. What is it going to take? For me this week, it took cleaning up my space, putting on a little lash. I haven't been able to wear anything on my face because of my allergies. So let me put something on. Yeah. Let me physically clean my space. Let me throw some stuff away. Put some things in the trash, physically, emotionally. Yeah. Right? That's how you start. You can do all those things without a therapist. Yeah. Right? Therapist is the guy. Yeah. So all those things you bring into therapy is still you. We're not gods.
No, I'm not. Yeah, people need to realize that.
Yeah, so all of those things you can do without paid professional support. Because obviously we're in a pandemic, right? So that might be the resource restriction might prevent. But if you can go to therapy, please do. Oh my God, it's so transformative. Just to know that somebody's holding your hand, you're not in the dark.
Yeah, to know someone's in it with you. I think it's important.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would want to tell men, women watching that you feel like we didn't get a chance to discuss today?
I think we covered it.
I think we did good, friend.
You think so?
I think we had a good conversation.
I think so too. We always do. I was like, I ain't worried about Ken. I'm in good hands. We're going to have a good time.
I think we had a good conversation.
We always do.
Well, thank you. Last thing I want you to do is tell people where to reach you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Radiant Life Counseling. You can email me, qthomas@radiantlifecounseling.org. You can send me a text message or a phone call. But I do prefer some of the other mediums because, I'm booked and busy. No, just kidding. But yeah, just find me there. I don't have a website. I'm not as professional as you are. But I do post a lot of content
great content
on my Instagram when I have the energy. But go there. That's where you can find me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. That's a wrap. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching.